Hit the record button. It's like my first day on Zoom. Not my first day on Zoom. All right. Why budgeting doesn't work. So I was picking up the topic today, and then Jennifer was messaging me last week. She's like, make it shorter, make it shorter, make it shorter. So it's like, well, how do we want to increase cash flow? And so there's two quick ways to increase cash flow. It's either top line or so either get more revenue or reduce expenses. We don't have to go to business school, didn't have to become accountants, but there's two factors to driving cash flow, and it's increase sales, decrease expenses. The bottom, what's left over is your cash flow. Why budgeting doesn't work? I know some of us, including myself, I spent 20 years in corporate accounting, and about 5 minutes after the budget was made, it wasn't relevant anymore. And we spent the next 12 months doing budget to forecast projections for companies because one customer changed, one expense changed, something came new, new customer came, customer left, and you're like, now what? So how can we make it so that there's a tool that's a bit more dynamic and adjusts with you without having to build, becoming Excel master users and building big spreadsheets and spending all our time building spreadsheets. Sure. And just in case you know, I'm gonna go back to Jennifer and ask her to where that one was. I went looking for it, I couldn't find it. So I met with Shiraz last week, and Shiraz has this beautiful is like he said it was a tool from Jennifer, and it's about. Okay, so my question for you is, I'm gonna ask you more questions. You'll be more confused when you leave today than you were when you came. And that's my goal. My goal is to get you thinking in your business, because how can you increase your, so who wants to increase whose goal this year is to increase their revenue? Everyone planning to increase their revenue?
Yeah.
Sarah's maybe not. That's okay. There's always been, like, as I say, and who knows to the dollar what their 2021 revenue was. Tax season isn't done yet, so you probably don't know because you haven't finalized your numbers for tax season yet. But how many people know what their revenue, like to the dollar? What, you don't have to share it, but just raise your hand or type in the comments. How many people know to the dollar what their 2021 revenue number was? Because how are you going to increase your number if you don't know what last year's number is? So here's a quick tool, this again in the chat if you want. How do you track it? Revenue and income, revenue and expenses. How are you tracking it? Spreadsheets, QuickBooks on QBO, QuickBooks Online, Wave, some kind of accounting tool. It could be a proprietary, not proprietary. One of my clients, she uses Jane. She's a therapist, so Jane does all of her billing and a bunch of stuff all done in Jane. So some people, depending on what industry you are in, if you're in network marketing, your back office will tell you this is my revenue from my network marketing business. Otherwise, we business owners, we relied on our bookkeeping. We relied on QuickBooks, QuickBooks Online, Wave, something. Hopefully our bookkeeper does it for us. How many people have bookkeepers? Anyone have bookkeepers? Okay, Joel has bookkeeper. So it's my bookkeeper's job. Hopefully they send you reports on a monthly basis, so you know. Maybe not, right? So I'm not gonna go through the whole slide because it's like a half-hour presentation. We don't want to be here for a half an hour. There's certain things, so just talk about, this is more a bit of a personal, but you're all business owners. It could be the bottom one. I have great income, but I feel that I should get more out of it. You know, I hear about 7-figure earners, but it took them like, you know, I had $1 million worth of sales, but I spent $900,000 on Facebook ads. So I only made like 100 grand. I got to pay myself. Joel's laughing because Joel became a digital marketer. I learned that he was running a business and he learned about digital marketing because it's like lots of people say, oh, I do this, but like you need money to run ads. You can't run ads with no money. You can't run ads with no cash flow. I mean, a guy's like, unless you're doing $30,000 a month, I don't help you run ads because you need cash flow for ads. Budget. 60% of Canadians know about, they're capable of running a budget. Everyone in this room is capable of running a budget. How many people have a budget? I can't actually put up my hand. I don't have a budget. No budget. But nearly 50%, 53% Canadians live paycheck. I wouldn't even want to know what the entrepreneur rates are, right? Here's a quick thing. Budgetings are great as a business owner. Budgetings are great for, hey, I have a marketing budget. Joel, you probably have clients is like, I have a budget for building a website. Budgets are great for that. Then you have a specific number. Budgets, you don't have a budget for your business. Lucky, how many of your clients have budgets? It's like, probably not too many actually have budgets, but it's like, but I need to know. So because they think, oh, they're controlling. There's a few, we got to get into Shiraz with all the, he had to go, but all of the language that is like a sacrifice or giving up. It's like, I want to be able to buy, I want to invest what I want to. I'm the business owner. If something comes up, I don't want to be restricted. No one wants to be restricted. So I spent 20 years as a corporate accountant working in sales and marketing organizations. I was referred to as the bean counter. I was referred to as I had the strings on the purse and they were really tight. It's a great way to be referred to as the finance division of your business. Like I said, they're great for events. I used to work for a concrete forming business. We did a golf event. Our budget was about $80,000. That was our marketing for the year. One event. We gave a budget. Say, this is their budget. Those are great. Budgets are great tools in your business for certain things. Gifts, referral programs, all great tools for your business. Paying yourself. What's your budget? How much are you paying yourself? Your salary budget. Salaries are okay to have a budget. So there's tools as part of your business, but at the end of the day, it's about cash flow. And a lot of those numbers are things drive off of metrics off of revenue. So for example, advertising, marketing. Joel, what's a good marketing budget as a percentage of revenue?
Say 5 to 10%.
5 to 10%. You know what most people are.
And I just want to add to that. We learned last week it's actually 5 to 10% of what you want to earn in revenue, not how much you actually make. I thought that was interesting.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that as well. Yeah. And there's the profit first model, which says on your first dollar, take out 1% to pay yourself right off the top. Start with 1%. Eventually you want to get to 10%, but start with 1%. Every dollar that comes in your business, set aside every $100, set aside $1 right off the top, and that goes into profit for you. Most business owners are like, profit. Hope they maybe get profit in like year 3. Start with 1% right off the top. Put that in. So I've seen a case study where the business owner then used that as his paid for his family vacations with that profit, because that was profit right out of the business. So there's the whole we talk about pay yourself first. David Chilton wrote the book 10%. The Wealthy Barber, pay yourself first, 10%. We were doing that as employees, but we forget about that as in business owners. Possibly. All right. Apps and all those things are really nice, but they're flawed because apps are all, even bookkeeping. Booking is transactional history. It already happened. I have an opportunity for everyone in the room today. It's going to cost you $100. Just as I don't, but it has $100. Do you actually have cash flow to pay to invest in some? If Jennifer came with an opportunity, it costs $5,000. Do you actually have cash flow in the next 30 days to pay for that $5,000 opportunity? Or do you have to put it on your credit card or in your line of credit and hope that you generate business to pay for it later? I did that for 5 years in person. That's the personal development world. Invest now and hope that you generate business later to pay for it. It's challenging. All right. Mental math. We have so many things going, and I'm not gonna do this because it's a bit anyway. But it goes through the day in the life of just our personal finances. Most of us, like Jennifer, you're running up your personal finances plus your business finances. Mm-hmm. And we can't even do mental math on our personal finances, which is say, hey, what day of the month does your car insurance payment come out? What day of the month does your mortgage payment come out? Hey, you just went for lunch, you just did all the stuff, and you can't keep track of all that stuff plus our business stuff. Not a chance. So when we get into behavioral spending, we can do the same thing. Cancel out. This is more for personal, but we cancel out the personal stuff and do it for business. It's like there's certain things that we know for our business: fixed bills, your internet bill, your website domain, your business insurance, all those stuff are fixed, right? Not emotional. Variable. I was at a presentation today, and they did a really good job selling me, hit all the emotional triggers, and I want to invest. And all of a sudden you did a really good job. And all of a sudden you have your credit card and they just rung up like $5,000 on your credit card in a minute. And you're like, and you get home and you're like, oh, more so in 30 days when you get your credit card bill. And the program didn't work, but you didn't work the program, or the program didn't work for you for some reason. And you had the $5,000 bill on your credit card, and you're trying to figure out how did I generate the cash flow to pay for this extra bill. It was an investment, though. You convinced yourself it was an investment. It was a business investment, therefore it's tax deductible. All great things, but tax deductions are only great if you have cash flow or if they're expensible. Otherwise, they're just a business expense that then incurs more expense because it's a tax on interest expense. But we're all along the way, we're convincing ourselves that it's good for business, but it's causing you a lot of stress. Needs and wants. What is I like Jennifer's thing, like every Monday, it's like, what does your business need? What do you need for your business versus what do you want for your business? I had like a big fancy website of all the bells and whistles flashing. I don't need a website to get more clients today. Website might help me, but I don't need a website. Lots of successful 7-figure business are running without a website. But that may not be your business. Your business, you may actually need again, direct sales, you need a back office, you need to make it, there is a need. Needs and wants. So what are the needs and wants of your business? Overwhelming. It's like all those categories. It's like my tax clients is like, what category do I put it in? It's like category, that's a bookkeeping thing. Don't worry about it too much, but simplify things. Simplify is like advertising and marketing is one line on the tax return. One line. Tax accountants don't care about what you spend on your website, what you spend on Facebook ads. We don't care. Tax accountant don't care.
But Dwayne, shouldn't we care? Like, shouldn't we be what? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to jump
beautiful.
ahead.
I love that. I love that because no, they don't be sorry. You jumped right in there, which is great. It's like, what do you need for your business? Jennifer, what you need for your is different than what Sarah needs for her business, which is different than Lucky. Is like, if you spend a lot of marketing, then yeah, you want to break down the marketing. I market. So for me, this year in the last 6 months, I joined 3 referral groups. So for me, which is better, is then to track out of those 3 different investments, which one is working. Don't treat them all, say, oh, they're all working great, and this renewal automatically renew next year. I already know one group I'm probably not going to renew with. Not a bad group. It's just, I'm doing kind of 3 at once, and that's okay. But I've learned one of them isn't necessarily my group. It's okay. It's okay to stop. Not honor the contract, but it's okay to stop them too. I did that. I paid for years. I paid for Infusionsoft. Eventually, when I stopped paying and canceled it, it was no longer a failure. It just didn't work for me. My business wasn't ready for it yet. It wasn't it was an expensive learning lesson. It's only a failure if I do it a second time, right? If I go and buy another solution for a bigger problem. All right. Categories. So again, with your bookkeeper. So again, this is where we talk about your bookkeeper in your business should customize the chart of accounts. Just a fancy accounting word. It's just how do you want to see things in buckets? And it should be personalized somewhat to your business, but still linked up to your tax return so that you're not creating extra work for your accountant. This isn't a cash flow thing, but it's how do we get that data so that we can get a good report out to understand where is your money going. No one wants to be put on a budget, but sometimes we need to be. All right, so here's the question for you today. Is relieve reminders. Thank you. Always good to be reminded. Thank you, Jen. It's what is you probably already have it because we're in month 2 of 2022. What was, thinking back now, because maybe you did your business plans back in January or did them in December or October, maybe. I started planning my stuff in December. I start using it at the beginning of December. So I actually start my planning December, so I don't plan on January 1st. January 1st, too late in a way, but it's never too late to revisit. So let's revisit. Let's have that as your thing right now. What's something that's on your list? Maybe if you had a list, what's an investment from your original 2022 plan? What was an investment in your business that's you haven't started yet? It was on your list, you haven't started it yet.
Mhm.
And take a minute to say, 2 months in, is it still relevant? Is it still relevant? And if it was a priority, is it a higher, I'm not giving you too many things, my apologies. So first off, who has a list of like business investments? Jennifer, do you have a list of like a couple of things that you wanted to do in 2022?
Yeah, one of the things I want to do is I want to get into doing some video stuff, but I set it for second quarter, not first quarter. So I haven't started yet.
Yeah, okay.
But that's where I plan on doing it
Yeah.
instead of trying to do everything all at once, which I just don't like. I've
Beautiful.
learned that the hard
Right.
way.
So that's a great example. Video work. So it's going to require you, if it's you are in the video, and then probably some resources, somebody to help you do the editing and that piece.
Yeah.
So it's okay. We're 2 months in. Is it still relevant based on the first 2 months? Is it still relevant to your
Yes.
business? Yeah.
Yes, it's
Beautiful.
a goal I set for this year.
Yeah, but is it still relevant?
It's still relevant.
Okay,
More
so-
relevant than it was when I said it.
Beautiful. A great example. Great.
Mhm.
Then is it, so if it was given a priority 2 months in, you just said it's more relevant than it was ever, would you have the opportunity to move it up? Because you said it was in Q2. Would you move it up, or maybe not move it up, but would you raise its priority so that when Q2 comes, it's something that really gets the resources, as opposed to something that there's 2 things you wanted to do in Q2 and
Yeah,
Where
I'd
the-
have to check. Well, you can only have one priority, so
Yep,
that's first
exactly.
and foremost. Yes, I would revisit it as in this month, March, that we're coming up to say, am I going to do it now or can it wait until third quarter?
Yeah.
But
You
I
can
do
not-
want it done by the end of the year.
because we have we have limited
Mhm.
resources, right? So again,
Mhm.
if from a cash flow point of view, you can make it happen sooner. You just gotta go make some more money so that you can move it. You could make some more money and then allocate that more money to that to speed up the resource. So there's
Mhm.
one of 2 things. Go make some more money, allocate those resources to move it up in the timeline, or deprioritize, like lower one priority. So move something off of the priority list and move this up. In which case you're just moving something from your cash flow from March, move it out and move this into cash flow for March.
You mean like just trade, move
Good
things
trade. Yep,
around?
just move it.
That's what you're
Shuffle.
saying, rather than add it on to something already if it's not a priority. You're just saying make sure the priorities are clear and make sure you're putting the money where it really needs to go rather than everywhere.
Yeah, it's
what
your
you said?
thing. But
Mhm.
again, we can't do that if we don't have that starting point, which is if you just says that, well, I'm just gonna free flow it, right? I did this for a while. I was like, I'm just gonna go with the flow. I love working in the flow. I'm working in the flow. So just as things come to me, I'll decide.
Mhm.
You can do that. If you read the book, The Surrender Experiment, Michael Singer, he built $1 billion software company, just not in the flow, but just surrendering as new things it came to him. He just learned to say yes. It's a good book. It's a good book. It's a good book to add that. It's The Surrender Experiment. Okay, so based on that, enough of my time. I said it was going to be short, didn't I? Okay. So the whole thing is money's not a math problem. Money's not a math problem, right? Money's emotional. And we even tie more to, because we're like, oh, this is my baby, right? We refer to our business as babies. And I said, I don't want a baby. I have 2 sons, and they pooped a lot and they cried a lot, and they didn't, sometimes they slept at night, and some nights they kept us up at night. I'm like, I don't want my business. So don't stop referring to, you know, Andrea's smiling because she's got 3 lovely children. Stop referring to your business as your baby. That's your second homework for just stop this. It's like, come up with a different name. That'll be our challenge. And money, and people say, I'm not good at math. Lots of great people good at running business are not great at math. That's why we bring in the tools. Bring in the tools. And we won't even get into that, but part of it is setting up the systems. So here's the thing for the last thing is, if we can show you how it feels safe to spend, then and only then will you feel safe to save. Because if I said, if you're safe to spend, you would immediately put away the 5% profit on the front end, not just 1% and not 0%. We've just used the same thing in the self-employed or in the employment world. In our business, like more month than money, more month than money. How many people made an investment into their RSP this year?
No, we're business owners. We don't invest in that stuff.
Some people, there's still a tax strategy to it.
Okay.
How many people made it? How many people are making a contribution to their CPP? CPP? No?
But TFSA.
TFSA.
TFSA? Anyone using their tax-free savings account?
Absolutely.
Don't say absolutely. The average
Absolutely.
balance in the tax-free savings account is $30,000. My partner just read that yesterday. The
Wow.
average balance in your tax-free savings, and you can have $80,000 of contribution room.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. Okay. So questions.
Just letting you know you have
Please.
2 minutes for questions.
Yeah, no, I over deliver. Not ask enough questions.
Any questions?
Questions. Thoughts.
Good content.
It's good.
Well done.
It's
How about my saying, Dwayne?
I liked your saying, I wrote it down. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity,
Mm,
cash flow is reality.
I love
Thank you,
that.
Joel. Joel shared that in our breakout sessions today.
I love that.
It's good.
It's all about what you take home.
I think, at this point, Dwayne, it's if anybody here is sitting here going, I want more of this would be a good time. Why don't you jump on a call with Dwayne? Because you saw there's a lot more in that presentation that he had. And I just want to encourage you to do it, that getting cash flow, mastering it, this is what your business is all about. Your business serves you. You do not serve that business. Make that business work for you. And Dwayne's got some ideas about money that are very practical and they are real. So there's your go-to source for increasing cash flow. I love it. Thank you so much, Dwayne.